So the other day, I'm trying to send some money to a friend, right? They're overseas, and the fees were insane.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like they hit you with a hidden surcharge.
Exactly. Got me thinking there's got to be a better way. That's when I stumbled upon this whole Stellar thing.
Stellar. Yeah, they've been popping up everywhere recently. A lot of buzz.
That's why you sent over this whole stack of articles about them, right? Let's dig into this, see what Stellar's all about.
Dive in. Yeah, they're positioning themselves as not just another blockchain, which there are a ton of, but as like the bridge to actual real-world use.
Yeah, that's ambitious. Real-world impact, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so no hiding behind the tech jargon then.
It doesn't seem like it. Right from the get-go, they're all about ease of use. Making financial stuff as simple as, like, sending a text.
Which, let's be honest, everyone and their grandma can do these days.
Exactly. And speed is key, too. They're talking 5-second transaction times,
That's not 5 seconds. Is that even possible?
Right. It sounds crazy fast, especially compared to something like Bitcoin. You could be waiting minutes, sometimes even hours, for a transaction to go through.
Yeah, I'd be hitting refresh on my browser like crazy. Okay, but let's be real. How many places even use Stellar? Like, is this just a handful of early adopters, or are we talking actual scale here?
That's where it gets interesting. They claim to have over 81,000 global on-ramp locations. That means...
Hold up, 81,000. That's a lot of on-ramps.
Right. Think about it. You could walk into a shop pretty much anywhere and use Stellar as easily as you'd use cash. That's the goal, at least.
Okay, that's way more widespread than I thought. But it also sounds like their ambitions go way beyond just sending money, right?
Way beyond. They're really pushing this idea of tokens representing any kind of value.
Tokens. Right, so like dollars, sure, but also, what else? Gold? Real estate?
They even talk about things like carbon credits. Oh, and this one's wild. An hour of someone's time.
Wait, what? Tokens for time? How does that even work?
It's a fascinating concept. Imagine your skills, your expertise, all tokenized.
So you could, like, pay someone for their services using these tokens.
Exactly. Track work, make payments, all on the Stellar network. It could be revolutionary for freelancers, the gig economy, all of that.
Okay, that's blowing my mind a little. So this isn't just a cool idea then. There are actual real-world examples of this in action.
Yeah, they highlight a case study where Stellar is being used for aid distribution. Think about the possibilities.
Oh, wow. So instead of aid money potentially getting lost or,
It gets tracked every step of the way, directly to the people who need it. Transparency and efficiency.
Okay, yeah, that's a powerful use case. But we've got to talk about what do they call it, the fuel for this whole network, right?
Yeah.
Lumens.xlm.
Right. Every blockchain needs its thing. For Stellar, it's Lumens.
And you need some to use the network, yeah. But it's super cheap, right?
Incredibly cheap. Fractions of a cent per transaction. And this is actually clever. It helps them solve a problem a lot of blockchains have. Spam.
Spam. Like email spam. What does that have to do with?
Not quite the same. Imagine someone flooding the network with tons of tiny, meaningless transactions, clogging it all up.
Ah, I see. Like trying to crash the system.
By requiring a tiny fee in lumens for every transaction, they prevent that. Only meaningful transactions go through, keeps everything running smoothly.
Okay, so that makes sense. But how do they actually make sure everything is secure and legit? I know Bitcoin uses that proof of work thing, which uses a ton of energy, right?
Yeah, proof of work is a whole other beast. Stellar uses something called proof of agreement.
Proof of agreement. Okay, and what's the difference? Lay it on me.
So proof of work is like a giant energy-intensive competition, right? Proof of agreement is more about trust and reputation.
Trust. Like how?
Think of it like planning a party. You're only going to invite people you trust, right? And you're more likely to go if you know other trusted people are going too.
Okay, so you're building this network of trust. Starting to see where you're going with this.
In Stellar's world, those trusted party guests are like validators. They're the ones responsible for verifying transactions and adding them to the blockchain.
So to become a validator, you need to be chosen by other already trusted validators.
Exactly. They've all got to vouch for each other. It's this interconnected system of trust, like that perfect party guest list. And that keeps the whole network secure.
That's actually a brilliant analogy. I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just anyone can jump in and potentially mess things up.
Nope. Checks and balances are in place. And this whole emphasis on trust, it's not just in their tech either. It extends to how Stellar is set up as an organization.
You're talking about the Stellar Development Foundation, right?
Yeah.
They're the ones behind all of this. But they're a nonprofit, which is kind of unusual.
Very unusual. Most companies in this space are all about maximizing profits.
Right. So what's their deal then? What's the Stellar Development Foundation's main role?
They're like the caretakers of the network. They promote its development, its growth, but because they're a nonprofit.
It's supposed to be about transparency, building trust, right?
Exactly. But it also raises some interesting questions, like can they really sustain a global financial network long term just based on, I don't know, donations and grants?
And how do they make sure everything they do truly benefits the entire network, not just certain people or groups? It's a bit of a head scratcher.
For sure. Lots to unpack there. One thing that sets Stellar apart, though, is their commitment to transparency.
Transparency. Okay, but in the crypto world, that's almost like unheard of.
Right.
It feels like most of the time you need a secret decoder ring just to figure out what a project is even trying to do.
Right. And half the time they change their minds anyway, chasing the next big thing. But Stellar's different. They've got this public roadmap, and it's surprisingly detailed.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just vague promises or anything like that.
Not even close. We're talking specific goals, timelines, even potential challenges they see coming down the line.
Wow, okay. So they're laying it all out there. That's pretty gutsy, actually. But speaking of transparency, what about their environmental impact? Sustainability is a huge deal these days.
Huge. And blockchain often gets a bad rap for being, energy hungry.
Yeah, all those servers, the mining, not exactly eco-friendly. So how does Stellar compare?
Well, they're definitely aware of the issue. They keep highlighting how their proof of agreement model uses way less energy than proof of work, which
Bitcoin uses, right? And it's been a whole thing.
Exactly. But Stellar went a step further. They actually put a number on their energy usage.
Okay, now we're talking. Hit me with it. Just how much energy are we talking about here?
Ready for this? They claim that running their entire network uses about the same amount of energy as 33 U.S. homes in a year.
Get out. You're messing with me. That's it.
That's what they say. Kind of puts things into perspective.
Big time. Okay, so they're definitely trying to position themselves as the eco-conscious option here.
No doubt about it. Fast, affordable, and sustainable. That's a pretty strong pitch.
It sounds almost too good to be true. But, can they actually pull it off? That's the big question.
It is. Because even with amazing technology, you still need people to actually use it. That's often the hardest part.
It's like having a shiny new sports car. It might look great in the garage, but can it actually handle a bumpy road?
Exactly. And the crypto world is full of potholes, let me tell you.
So what are some of the roadblocks Stellar might hit? What are the biggest challenges they're facing?
I think adoption is a big one. Getting businesses, everyday people, to ditch the old ways and switch to something new.
It's a tough sell for sure. People are used to their banks, their credit cards, even with all the hassles.
Exactly. Stellar needs to prove it's not just another tech fad. It has to actually make people's lives easier, cheaper, better.
And then there's the whole regulation thing, right? Governments
Yeah.
are still trying to figure out what to do with all this crypto stuff.
It's like the Wild West out there.
Yeah.
And it's changing all the time.
So how's Stellar navigating all of that? Are they playing it safe? Or are they, pushing the boundaries a little?
From what I've seen, they're being cautious, their nonprofit status, the focus on transparency. It's like they're trying to build trust with regulators.
Showing they're not here to disrupt everything, but to actually be a force for good.
Exactly. They're highlighting real-world problems that Stellar can solve. Cross-border payments, microloans, all those things. Traditional finance doesn't always do well.
Makes them seem more legit, more trustworthy.
Right. It's not just about the tech. It's about understanding how the world actually works.
And speaking of the world, what about the people using Stellar? What's the community like?
Yeah, that's key. You need a strong community to survive in the crypto space. It can't just be a bunch of, tech guys in their basements.
Right. Got to have diversity, people from different backgrounds, different perspectives.
And Stellar gets that. They're actively building a diverse and inclusive community. And it makes sense because they're not just building a network, they're building an entire ecosystem.
And a healthy ecosystem needs all sorts of players, right?
Exactly. And they're putting their money where their mouth is. They've got tons of resources, beginner guides, technical documentation.
So you don't need to be a coding whiz to figure it out.
Not at all. They're trying to make it accessible for everyone. Entrepreneurs, businesses, even regular folks who just want to learn.
Like they're on a mission to educate the world about Stellar.
Totally. They want everyone to feel like they can be a part of it, regardless of their background or their technical skills.
That's smart. Create a sense of community, a shared purpose. So what is that purpose? What's the ultimate goal here? What are they working towards?
Their big vision. It's all about creating a more inclusive financial system, one that works for everyone.
So they're basically saying, hey, traditional finance isn't working for everyone, so let's build something new, something better.
It's a powerful message. And it speaks to the potential of blockchain, right? To really shake things up, create a more level playing field.
Yeah, almost like a financial revolution, where everyone has a voice, not just the big institutions.
It's exciting to think about. But, I mean, let's be real, it's still super early. For Stellar, for all of crypto, really.
All right, we still got a long way to go.
There are going to be hurdles,
Ugh.
regulations, making sure it can handle tons of people using it.
Yeah, none of that's easy to figure out. But even with those challenges, it's hard not to get excited about what this could mean, especially for, developing countries,
Yeah.
places that traditional finance is kind of left behind.
Absolutely. And Stellar's been putting a lot of effort into that, partnering with organizations, even the UN, to bring financial services to those who need them most.
So things like microloans, mobile payments, being able to send money back home without losing half of it to fees.
All of that becomes faster, cheaper, easier with Stellar. That's the whole point.
Okay, yeah, that's huge. Potentially life-changing stuff for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But I know you said no system is perfect. What about the downsides? What are some of the risks with Stellar?
Well, security is always going to be a concern. I mean, blockchain itself is designed to be secure, but
But there's always a way to mess things up.
human error, hackers, you name it. And because Stellar's still relatively new, it hasn't been through the ringer like some of the older blockchains.
And so it's kind of like, it's like that brand new car. Looks great in the showroom, but will it break down on you a mile down the road? You just don't know yet.
Perfect analogy. And then there's the adoption issue. What if they built this amazing thing, but nobody uses it?
Like that bridge, right? If everyone's too scared to cross it, what's the point?
Exactly. So yeah, Stellar's got a big vision, tons of potential.
But it's not a guaranteed success story.
Not yet, at least. There's still so much that could happen.
That's the whole point of this, right? Digging into these big ideas, trying to figure out what it all means.
Exactly. And with something like Stellar, it's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely. And we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this? Are you ready to jump into the world of Stellar, or are you still on the fence? Head over to our social media and let us know. This conversation is just getting started.